I do not agree that Babel did absolutely nothing wrong. Babel did everything wrong.
Hello. Welcome to the first ever SUBUCAST episode with me, Subutai. I'm joined here by none other than the person I regard as the queen of Genshin lore content here on YouTube, the one and only Ashikai. Could you do me the honor of introducing yourself to anyone who doesn't know you and tell everyone how you know me?
Well, hello. My name's Ashikai. I make lore videos on YouTube, and I think we actually met before I knew the kind of stuff that you did on Island's creator Discord server.
Oh, right, yeah.
And that's mostly because I live under a rock, and Then I was like, who's this guy? And then I watched all your stuff, and I was like, whoa, this is really cool.
Okay, awesome. Now, Shadows in the Sand is based off the Genshin world quest, The Dirge of Bilqis. What did you enjoy most about that story? The characters, the lore, the crazy amounts of betrayal?
I think what I liked most about the Dirge of Bilqis quest was just the character development for both Jet and Lilupar. Because, Jet starts out being kind of innocent, happy-go-lucky, as much as you can be for, a mercenary's daughter, right?
Yeah.
And then towards the end, she becomes really jaded and very motivated and extremely lonely and just looking for herself and a sense of belonging. And I really love just her whole character arc. And then Lilupar goes from this very I'm always right and very pretentious kind of attitude to a much more humbled existence.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I really like how those two character development stories played off of each other.
Yeah.
Also, I like piloting big robots, so that was fun.
Yeah, one of the best parts of Shadows in the Sand was when I realized we could actually animate those giant robots. And we were able to include that awesome shot of the ruined giants chasing Jet and Lumine. But anyway, what are some things people may have missed about the lore while they were doing the world quest?
Things people might have missed. I think a lot of it has to do with the ancient history of Gurabad, because I feel like Lilupar didn't really make that very clear, and you kind of have to read a lot of external sources to understand what really happened. But basically, Deshret went AWOL for a while after the goddess of flowers died, and then all of these Jinn were tasked with making Gurabad this kind of utopia for humans in the desert. And Lilupar's sister was actually one of the ones who was tasked with controlling the waterways and making sure water actually runs through them. And so when she left to go guard the entrance to the Eternal Oasis instead, the entire area began to dry up. So a lot of this is Lilupar's fault, indirectly even. There's some kind of interesting side stories, too, that get missed a lot, I feel like. Lilupar's daughter actually had a way of making Jinn or Jinn fragments, and then she would take those semi-sentient beings and they were then put into machinery. So excavators or patrol bots or whatever. It was this sort of spirit inside of a machine. And that kind of made human labor obsolete, which caused extreme poverty and eventually the fall of the whole city.
Wow.
And the weird thing is it doesn't seem like it actually stopped when Gurabad fell, because there was another Jinn uprising much later on that also seems to be related to the Jinn that were inside of machines. So I don't know. There's a lot of unsolved mystery still in the desert, and there's a lot of things people can miss just because so much of it was never actually in the Dirge of Bilqis quest explicitly. You kind of have to read all of the supplemental material that involves all of the characters from the Dirge of Bilqis quest.
Now, if I remember right, your favorite region of Teyvat is the Sumeru Desert in terms of lore. Is that true?
Yeah, I do like the Sumeru Desert most out of, I think, all of the explorable regions right now, including Fontaine.
Oh, yeah?
If only because I think it added the most context to both Sumeru as well as Genshin's overall plot, because that's where we were introduced to the Dragon King,
Nibelung, yeah,
and Deshret's plot to overthrow heaven, and all of these little things that we were kind of suspecting elsewhere in the game kind of started gaining more merit and more weight in the desert, and I think that's just really cool. Also, I just really like exploring old temples and stuff, and we don't get it a lot anymore, I feel like, in a lot of modern games. I feel like temple level design has kind of fallen off. So even though these weren't particularly great temple levels, I just really enjoyed them for nostalgia purposes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, plus the desert has the best side characters and world quest characters, right? Like Babel, who did absolutely nothing wrong. Would you agree with that statement?
I I do not agree that Babel did absolutely nothing wrong. Babel did everything wrong.
Nah.
She was quietly assassinating her own people. She was sleeping with her employees.
Oh.
She was manipulating Jet.
That is all true, though.
I mean, her list of crimes is very, very long. And she doesn't even really have a good character arc, in my opinion. Like, compared to Lilupar, who easily had, like, a substantial list of crimes to compare with, right? But Lilupar had a complete character arc where she kind of comes to the end and realizes that everything she knew was a lie. Everything she did was for naught. What was it all for? That kind of stuff. So it kind of felt like she got her recompense. And Babel kind of dies still an evil villain, whereas Lilupar kind of fades away a broken woman, djinn, spirit thing.
I hope that we did a good job of putting those character arcs on the screen. And, on that note, what did you enjoy the most from our animation from Shadows in the Sand?
Oh, favorite scene. I think just the ending scene transition between where Jet kills Babel and then she has that moment in the Oasis.
Yeah.
I think that one's my favorite because the Oasis moment at the end of the Dirge of Bilqis quest is just really powerful and melancholic. And it's kind of that moment where Jet actually has the first opportunity to sit and breathe and actually grieve for all of the things that she's lost and kind of figure out where she has to go from there. And it's such a good character moment for her. And that's only emphasized because, like, in the game, that was the same scene almost when Lilupar kind of went through her whole humbling moment of devastation, So, like, I found that was really memorable, and to see it animated was just really, really cool.
Yeah, for me personally, the scene in the Eternal Oasis where Jet's mourning her parents at the tree, and you've got that beautiful music. I just spent about half an hour to an hour just recording footage because I knew at that moment that in the future I would do some sort of project adapting this story. It was such a touching moment with Jet. And speaking of Jet, do you think we'll see Jet again in the future?
I'm kind of torn on whether we'll see Jet again because on the one hand, like, her story isn't finished, but on the other hand, we left on such like a good open ending that I wonder if they'll even want to go back and finish it. But there's lots of room for the desert to continue to expand, and she may even show up in Snezhnaya at some point since, she's kind of chasing Northlanders, or at least was for a while.
Yeah.
But like, I think we know now that Natlan should be west of the desert. So it's very possible that we meet her again in another desert area that connects us to another region. And I would love for that to happen. And if it does happen, you need to make another animation of it.
Yeah, if Jet ever appears in the game again, I will absolutely lose my shit from excitement. I would sell my firstborn child for her to become a playable character. So we would definitely do another animation continuing her story for sure. And especially if it's a request from you. But on that note, that's the end of our show today. So thank you for coming on the first ever SUBUCAST. And for you guys listening, if you don't follow Ashikai already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out her lore content, which is basically where at least half the Genshin player base seems to learn the lore from anyway. So you'll probably know her, but if you don't, go subscribe. And thank you again, Ashikai, for coming on.
Thanks for having me, and great job on this little animation project. It was so cool to see. I really wish all World Quests had more cinematic moments like these ones, because it really brings them to life, So great job on that.
Thank you. See you next time, everyone.